Adriana, you're not only our special advisor on Latin American affairs, but also the deputy director of our affiliate, the American Jewish International Relations Institute, or AJIRI. What can you tell us about the important work that AJIRI does?
Well, Dan, AJIRI focuses on dismantling what we call the anti-Israel propaganda apparatus that exists at the United Nations. But BDI has, of course, an office dedicated to UN affairs, and we work closely with them. But while our UN office covers everything that happens at the UN, AJIRI only focuses on 3 entities that work out of the UN Secretariat building in New York City. These entities work all year long to advance the idea that Israel is an apartheid, racist state, and perhaps even more importantly, to promote the notion that the so-called Palestinian refugees, who according to the UN number more than 5 million today, should be granted a right to move to Israel and acquire Israeli citizenship. So even though they assert that they are in favor of a 2-state solution, they are not advocating for these people to settle in a future Palestinian state, but to settle in Israel then. So you can see that what these entities are really promoting is the destruction of Israel through demographic means, through the mass migration of these people to Israel. This is the so-called right of return, which is really a formula for the destruction of Israel and a formidable obstacle to the achievement of a peaceful solution to the conflict. The 3 entities I am talking about are the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People, the Division for Palestinian Rights, and the Special Committee to Investigate Israeli Human Rights Practices, which, by the way, this last committee was modeled after a very similar committee that existed against apartheid South Africa, because you see, the Palestinians have always tried to equate Israel with apartheid South Africa so that Israel receives the same treatment at the UN. These entities are a real anomaly then within the UN system because they work to threaten the existence of a UN member state. No country other than Israel receives this kind of treatment by the UN. And what is also important to note is that they have staff paid with UN funds, which is really a waste of valuable UN resources. I'd like to mention that AJIRI was founded by Ambassador Shifter, who unfortunately passed away in 2020 after working with us very closely for over a decade, and we are keeping his legacy alive by continuing with this important work.
Well, tell us more then about the way AJIRI works to confront this powerful anti-Israel propaganda apparatus at the UN.
Sure, then. You see, every year, all the UN member states vote at the UN General Assembly, which is the UN's legislative body, to renew the mandate and the funding authorization for these entities. What Ambassador Shifter had realized, and which this is something that we were able to confirm over the years, is that there is such a strong anti-Israel culture at the UN that many ambassadors, when they are not giving precise instructions on how to vote by their governments, they automatically vote against Israel without giving much thought to the content of the resolutions sometimes. There are cases where the governments have actually very good bilateral relations with Israel and still vote in this way. So what we do is that every year we identify these cases and make an effort to reach out to these governments and to make sure that they know what these resolutions are really about. And what we tell them is this: when you vote for the continued funding of these entities, you are voting for the destruction of Israel. Because as long as the Palestinians continue to believe that they will be able to destroy Israel with the help of the UN, they will have no incentives to negotiate peace. Then over the years, we have made substantive progress, and we believe that this is a fight worth fighting because the UN has become the last stronghold of support for the most extreme Palestinian positions, and we believe that this is something that needs to be confronted So we have meetings with foreign governments. We partner with other peace-loving organizations, both Jewish and non-Jewish, and we also work extensively with the U.S. Congress.
Well, you also work a great deal in Latin America on a number of other issues, working together with our Director for Latin American Affairs, Eduardo Cohn. What would you say are the main issues on your agenda today, in addition to the Algeria agenda?
Yes, Dan, I work on several issues, but in the interest of time, I'd like to mention, first of all, the AMIA case, because it is something I care deeply about. For those who are not familiar with the case, it relates to the 1994 Iranian-sponsored terrorist attack against the AMIA Jewish Center in Buenos Aires, which killed 85 people and injured many more. As you know, for a number of years now, we have been working with B'nai B'rith Argentina, with relatives of the victims, and with local and international legal experts to promote the adoption of the trial in absentia procedure, which would make it possible for Argentina to put the accused on trial, even if they continue to refuse to appear before the Argentine courts because the Iranian regime is protecting them. Next year, then, will be commemorated the 30th anniversary of the bombing, a very important anniversary. And we hope that the Argentine Congress will make some progress in this regard, and we will certainly keep working on this. And then I'd also like to mention an interview series that Eduardo Cohn, our Latin American director, and I started last year called Lens on Latin America, con el lente en Latinoamérica, which focuses mainly on Jewish life in the region and on the relations between the different Latin American countries and Israel. I strongly recommend people to watch it since they are fun, they are interesting, and they also give, I think, a good overview of the work that we as an organization have been doing in Latin America for decades.
And the title of that series is?
Lens on Latin America, or Con el lente en Latinoamérica in Spanish.
Well, I also hope everybody will look for it and watch it. And it is indeed a very important series. Adriana, thank you for all that you have done and over the years in working in Latin America on behalf of B'nai B'rith and the larger Jewish community.
You're welcome, Dan. A pleasure.